Hello! Today we are talking about Judges chapter 4 verse 21 and comparing it to a couple different scholarships, some ideas found in psychology, and we're also going to be looking at two songs that talk about this story. One discovery for this project, I was thinking I was going to find the theme of a female protagonist, a heroine in the Bible, using violence that has ties to sexual violent imagery in like pop punk songs or metal songs. And I thought it was going to be more of a theme because I swear I've heard it used in different songs and imagery, but I couldn't find any pop punk or metal songs. But I did find two very unique songs. One of them that is especially unique is Tent Peg in the Temple by The Residents. I'll play both songs shortly, but The Residents use this sorrowful, mournful, and unsettling, unnerving melody and singing voice to describe the story from a first person perspective of Jeal, who did the smiting. The other one is a song called YDGTL. I didn't look what that stands for, by Hannah Honey. And Hannah Honey also gives a first person perspective, but it is more in line with what I was thinking going into this project. It's female empowerment, doing this thing, doing the things, It was very like an empowering, James Bondy kind of feel to it, with that walking basic guitar line throughout, and not more of a sorrowful, unnerving singing voice, but rather one full of confidence and knowing exactly what she was doing. This is in contrast to what the Residents had in Tent Peg in the Temple, where it was relating to unwillingness and shock at the deed that Jeal did. Before we go on, I could talk about them all day. We are going to read the section in question that both these songs are playing off of. Starting at verse 17 of chapter 4 in the book of Judges. Now Sisera had fled away on foot to the tent of Jeal, wife of Heber the Kenite. For there was peace between King Jabin of Hazar and the clan of Heber the Kenite. Jeal came out to meet Sisera and said to him, "Turn aside, my lord, turn aside to me, have no fear." So he turned aside to her into the tent, and she covered him with a rug. Then he said to her, "Please give me a little water to drink, for I am thirsty." So she opened up a skin of milk and gave him a drink and covered him. He said to her, "Stand at the entrance of the tent, and if anyone comes and asks you, 'Is anyone here?' say no." But Jeal, wife of Heber, took a tent peg and took a hammer in her hand and went softly to him and drove the peg into his temple until it went down into the ground. As he was lying fast asleep from weariness, and he died. Then as Barak came in pursuit of Sisera, Jeal went out to meet him and said to him, "Come, and I will show you the man whom you are seeking." So he went into her tent, and there was Sisera lying dead with the tent peg in his temple. So, it's fascinating because in these songs and in these scholarships, it gives almost completely different take for both of them. Hannah Honey, very confident. Jeal knew exactly what she was doing and she was proud of it, and she's like, she seduces Sisera and leads him into the tent. While in The Residents, it's more of bewilderment and of recognizing that this man that has appeared before her is actually the people they're at war at, and how she quickly reacts with that tent peg. We're going to get more into the scholarship, but I would like to play these songs for you, and seeing that there's 2 songs and they're a bit long, I thought it'd be humorous to be pitching a tent outside while these played over that video. So, please enjoy. Come get ready with me to spend the night in minus 22-degree temperature. So I didn't know how long it was going to take me to set up this tent. I do a C+ job at it. First, we're going to listen to the residents' tent peg in the temple. Yeah, that's a interesting song choice for sure. You can definitely notice how unsettling the narrator is, and how it's structured to be a little unsettling. Now we're going into Hannah Honey's version, which might be a little more calming.
I could see you walking, looking to use me as cover. When you kept calling, I became a camouflage fighter. Hunger comfortable in blood dripping on me. Let the wind come blow through this cemetery. Waiting for the cavalry. But waiting till
So since we came out all this way and I pitched this tent perfectly, we're going to use it for a little bit before before I put it back in the bag. I will not be spending the night in this tent tonight, and that's okay. So come inside, please do. I'll show you up close, but these tent pegs, they're probably not going to be good enough to kill your kings of foreign kingdoms at all, really. I think I just lowered some points on my tent setting up by maybe doing it wrong, actually. And that's okay. But we're still going to get in. Oh man, I put on the rain fly the wrong way. That's okay. That is okay. Come inside. Full immersion on the project. We are now in the tent. Great. We're in the tent. You can really get more acquainted with the story this way. By being in a tent. Yeah, it's cozy in here. For sure. It's very comfortable. I can see a lot of great rugs and murder taking place in here. So, I gotta edit in which scholar is who, but there was an interesting article on how this story is actually drawing from Greek myth, with Deborah, actual name being a bees, as in fulfilling the story part as a prophet, and Jeal actually being mountain goat. And in this Greek story, it's basically the same. You have the political enemy comes in and is thirsty, and Jeal the goat provides milk, and carries out some deeds, with Deborah being the prophet telling when the kingdom should actually go into combat and war, so that they would have God's blessing to actually win the battle. And another interesting fact or note from scholars would be, I think it's Venanite Moose. I can't say names. I'm in the woods. But they were writing on the symbolic and poetic imagery used in the story and in other Old Testament poetic literature. You have all these euphemisms in the Hebrew Bible, but specifically you have, hands, and hands convey power. So, Sisera was said to be delivered into the hands of women, into the power. Israel is going to be delivered into the hands of, blank, the power of. And in this we have Jeal, who not only is using hands, but I should also say that legs and feet are, sexual imagery. It's like alluring. It's, it's sexual. It's sexual power. Hands, feet, legs, that are taking up 3D vertical and horizontal space. But Jeal uses, grabs the mallet of the tent peg in her hands, and specifically the tent peg in her left hand and the mallet in her right hand. So she's gripping on the power in this retelling, to drive down her point. In both the songs, she is using her sexual power to draw in Sisera, the enemy, warrior lord, king, and using her own femininity, identity, and power to be the heroine that everyone deserves. And that's more in line with what Hannah Honey uses. It's very confident, it's very driven. You can definitely see that sort of retelling of Greek myth with the that imagery, that poetic imagery in that song. It's cold out here. I don't know if I'm going to say anything else, but I'm going to start hiking back, and then we'll add a little recap. All right, catch you in a bit. Before I go, I'll show you that these tent pegs, these tent pegs, are not going to kill your enemy. This one's a little wonky. This is not it. Even though this is a very, very realistic and very, this is basically where they were at, right? This is basically what was happening in this tent right here. No, they had, giant wooden mallets, and they had, giant, I don't know if they used metal, probably wooden tent pegs as well, but it was like a lot bigger, a lot more tensional. She had a rug laid out. Yeah. All right, I'm going to start going home. I'm definitely totally in the wilderness completely right now. See you in a bit. It's pretty chilly out there. Got the tent all squared away. Final piece, I guess. I didn't talk about two other scholarly sources. Are Ingrid, Engird, hi days, and Wickersham. And I mentioned Ingrid earlier. I mentioned them earlier in the interpretation of sexual violence. But this also ties into Wickersham's analysis of Wickersham talks more about why people are afraid to preach on it. Why is it more taboo? It's because, just like with Vineyard, it ties into the whole sexual violence aspect. Some scholars have interpreted this as almost like a reverse rape. There's definitely sexual imagery, there's a lure, it's more taboo, it's harder to talk about in service. But what those two songs show and what the text and some other interpretations show is that this is one of the few stories that we have that is empowering female characters. Now, it is through sex where they're driving their powers, legs, feet, hands. But like our protagonist, who's like, the people that are saving Israel is Deborah and Jeal, like very important characters in the book of Judges. And we don't get a lot of stories outside of them. Other named like female characters in the Bible, like Jezebel, are not protagonists at all. So a big thing with them as our heroes, even though they're using and drawing on like sexual power, is that it's tying into Greek myths. It is still empowering them, and like Jeal, like from that interpretation, like she invites him into the tent and he's tricked. And I mean, we could talk about the sexual imagery of, he asks for milk and no water because he's thirsty, and she gives him milk. But then in the end, she's the hero. She's the one defeating the bad guy. You look at other stories in the Old Testament, like Samson or, David, and when they kill someone, it's, good job, good on you. So, I've heard some sermons and interpretations where like she's looked down upon, even though she's still taking power in her hand and getting the job done. So I do think this is a very important story. And even though it hasn't found a place in some churches, it definitely has found a place in music, at least those two songs. And I promise there are other ones out there that draw on this imagery, but it can be, it's both of those things. The Residents and Hannah Honey both show two interpretations of the same story, where it is like unnerving and unsettling, but it's also like empowering and like drawing on confidence. Like this is kind of giving them like power, even though it's really unsettling to us and to some audiences, most audiences probably. But that goes in with the whole themes of sexual violence. Yeah, hope you enjoyed watching me put a tent up in the woods. Peace be upon you.